Good afternoon and welcome to the July 2025 edition of OSCAL Central's online program. I'm David Vaughn. For those of you who are repeat viewers, you've already heard this introduction, but we get new people each program, both live and as rebroadcast on YouTube. This introduction is for our new viewers. O-scale 2 rail is a model railroad scale, a 1/4 inch to the foot, 1:48 proportion. It is almost 8 times the mass of HO. O-scale has detail you can see, mass you can feel, and satisfying models you can build. O-scale Central is a nonprofit 501c3 tax-exempt membership organization. Our mission is to promote 2-rail O-scale and support modelers in the scale. We are NMRA's Special Interest Group, or SIG, for O-scale. We have an information-filled website at oscalecentral.com, a online quarterly journal, a monthly newsletter, an active outreach program to train shows, RPM meets, and NMRA conventions. We also sponsor this monthly online program using the Zoom platform. We bring in top manufacturers, importers, modelers, and other newsmakers in the scale. We present layout tours of quality O-scale 2-rail layouts, short clinics, and news you can use. As indicated, programs are recorded for rebroadcast on YouTube, which is accessible both through YouTube itself and through our website, oscalecentral.com. O-scale 2-rail is small in numbers of active modelers, and because of our small numbers, the scale operates largely below the radar without significant manufacturing support, advertising, and visibility that may be enjoyed by other scales. But the O-scale community is tight-knit, and O-scale Central and other organizations keep us on the move. We support each other. We provide this program, as well as our website, as a service to the scale. You need not be a member to use the website or to view this program. Thank you. You're welcome. We think keeping the O-scale 2-rail community informed, educated, and cohesive is important. That said, we hope you see the benefit of what we do, enjoy the program, and at some point join O-scale Central. Go to the website, find the membership section, and follow the prompts. Your dues money makes this program and our other activities possible. Let's turn to this month's program, which features a presentation on estate planning for model railroaders, how to organize, plan, and implement the disposition of your layout and your trains for after you're gone. We will have a brief presentation on insurance, somewhat related, although a little bit different than estate planning. But before we get to our larger programs, I want to introduce the president of O-scale Central, Schuyler Shippey. Schuyler is not only president of O-scale Central and also president of the Detroit Model Railroad Club, but Schuyler has a particular warm place in my heart because he is both a nickel plate modeler, as you can see from the screenshot behind his profile, and he is a graduate of University of Michigan, Go Blue. So he has, I'm not sure what he actually does other than model railroading. He says he's an engineer, but with his different jobs, I think he's busy 24/7 just doing the model railroad stuff. And he, on top of everything else, is just recovering from the NMRA National, which was held in Novi, Michigan, I believe this past week. And I'd like to get a report from Skylar on O-Scale's participation in the NMRA National, in particular, what may have gone down with the Detroit Club. Skylar is also the coordinator for the Cleveland O-Scale show, which is coming up this fall. And I believe he's going to give us a quick briefing on that, and in particular, an upcoming O-Scale modular meet, which is going to take place in conjunction with the Cleveland show. Skylar, welcome, and you're muted right now, but you're going to unmute yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you, David, and good afternoon, everyone. This is the tail end of the convention, so unfortunately I don't have any pictures at the moment, but we did have a week long of O-Scale involvement with the NMRA National. Being that it was local, my involvement with the Detroit Club and with Dick Tomlinson's O-Scale layout this week featured operating sessions and layout tours. So in order of days, Monday evening, there were 15 operators on Dick Tomlinson's O-Scale layout. It's a large basement layout that's 58 by 34 feet, 900 foot of mainline point-to-point switching operation. So it's not a roundy round layout, and we kept 15 people busy. And I got to admit, even with our normal guys who operate once a month, the crew that we had on Monday seemed to have been there many times, knew the place like the back of their hand. I was very surprised with how well it ran. Wednesday was the layout tours in our area. This convention featured a quadrant style of tours where they focused on certain areas open on certain days. The Detroit Club had at least 104 people sign in, which means there's likely another 10% who hadn't. We had trains running around, but more importantly, we had people giving tours on the unique layout that we have in an old movie theater. For those who haven't been there, it's a very unique situation, a very unique answer to the question of what in the world do we do with an empty movie theater? Dick's layout had about 94 people sign his guest book. Again, there's likely a 10% bleed through with that. So I'd say both layouts both saw over 100 people. There's also a 3-rail scale layout in Northville by a gentleman whose name escapes me. Again, this is the tail end of a week-long adventure for myself. But I heard very good praises of his layout as well. First name was Norm, and I can't for the life of me remember his last name. We had operations as well yesterday.
Could it be Charbonneau? Charbonneau?
That sounds right. That sounds right. Yeah, plenty of compliments to what the layout that he had. Just absolutely everything about his layout is stellar. Saturday, which was yesterday, we had operating sessions at both Dick Tomlinson's and the club as well. I believe Dick had 9 people in the morning and then 6 people in the afternoon on his layout, which ran well. And about the same numbers with the club. At least 9 people, 12 people had signed up. 9 people had showed up in the morning for the club operating session, and then 6 people in the afternoon. So Wednesday at the club, we ran trains and circles, but on Saturday, we ran the railroad as a true railroad, ran probably about 20 scheduled trains. And another unique thing, if you hadn't been there before, is the layout was designed in the early 70s before operating couplers. So the layout was a glorified spaghetti bowl. But over the past 2 years, and really since the 90s, we've been striving to make that layout function as the real thing. So I will have a follow-up next month for O-Scale Central. I will have pictures. I will have things to identify the participation and the uniqueness of the layouts. So that was the convention for my involvement. O-Scale Central had a table set up at the hotel, and from what the reports that I've heard, the guys who were involved there, they could barely get away from the table. They wanted to set up the table to explain itself and have the O-Scale Central members enjoy the convention and walk around. But every time they did, they kept getting pulled back with questions. We also had new members sign up during the convention, so all things were positive on that front as well. That being the convention, I want to turn to the Cleveland show, which David has pointed out. I took the show over and had my first show last year, and I had it as being a 2-day show. Wanted to appease the larger vendors who want to lug at least 10 or 15 tables of stuff and don't want to do it in a single day. This year, I've changed the format, and it's going to be a single day show for the sales, and on Saturday, November 1st, and on Sunday, I plan to have a modular meet. You see plenty of meets with HO modules, N scale modules. I'm looking to get O scale modules involved in large meets. And this being the first of its kind, the plan is to understand how to do it. I don't want to raise expectations and think that this is something that we've been doing for decades or year after year. This is going to be something new. We have new modular standards, of which will be published as soon as possible. At the latest, you'll be seeing something on the drawbar coming out in August 1st. And the whole goal of this is to get O-scale modules to large-scale shows, large all-scale shows as well. We need visibility for O-scale, and I think it's better to have something running around than demonstrations or just simple models to point out. Something moving catches the eye, and as soon as the eye is caught, it's easy to steer in the O-scale direction. So November 1st and 2nd is the Cleveland O-scale show. I have a website, clevelandoscaleshow.com, and if there are any other questions, I have stuff listed on the events page on oscalecentral.com. So that's all I have in the middle of summer, which not exactly a model railroading month, but boy, I've had a hell of a summer so far. So that's all I got. And David, back to you.
Super. Thank you, Skylar. And I would point out that although O-scale has a reputation for involving mostly long time and senior modelers, both our president, Skylar Shippey, and our vice president, Nick Bulgarino, are in the under 30 crowd, and we are happy to have them take over and tell us what we need to do technologically and organizationally. So we really appreciate Skylar's work on this. Thank you. All right, a couple of quick additional notes. First of all, if you are not familiar with O-Scale Resource Online Magazine, track it down on Google and find it. It's an online, free, all two-rail O-Scale magazine that is published every 2 months, and it is over 100 pages of O-Scale material. So if you haven't found it, look it up, and it's one of the best places to go for O-Scale material, construction projects, what's happening in the industry, and the ads have an interesting feature. You can click on them, and it will take you to the website for the advertiser. So it's a one-stop shopping and get directly to the advertised companies. Second, there is a company called White River Productions, and they have been publishing annuals both for O-Scale's two-rail and for ON30. And their 2026 O-Scale Trains Annual is now out. You can order it through whiteriverproductions.com. It is about 80 pages of really good O-Scale articles, and it is worth a read. And it is at this point the only OS2R hard copy publication that is around. If you want it to continue, make the investments. Think of it as a book or a collection of several monthly or bi-monthly magazines, but check it out. WhiteRiverProductions.com and find the O-Scale Annual. There is on the website, and I want to highlight it, a calendar of coming events for O-Scale 2-Rail and a product and service guide, which is trademarked, which is indexed and searchable. After the Walther's O-Scale large-scale catalog stopped being published, and with the decline of local hobby shops, finding O-Scale has become progressively more difficult. And on our website is an index and listing of about 200 vendors. And if you want to find out who has locomotives for sale or track or scenery or whatever, you can search it and get the contact information. We do that again as a service to the scale. It's free to use and it's free to be listed. As I indicated, O-Scale Central has an outreach program because a lot of people who are active model railroaders have never seen O-Scale 2-Rail operating, and we know how impressive O-Scale 2-Rail can be to watch our models. We have people come up to us all the time and say, "This is really great, where's the middle rail?" And in order to attract people, let them know who we are, we go out to the different RPM meets, NMRA conventions, and train shows. And coming up soon, we will be at the St. Louis RPM, which is actually held in Collinsville, Illinois. There are about 1,000 attendees. Most of them couldn't spell O-Scale 2-Rail. And we're going to show, using a sectional layout and several tables of information and model displays, all about O-Scale 2-Rail. We will be also participating in the Mid-Atlantic Railroad Prototype Modeler Meet and in the Strasbourg O-Scale 2-Rail show, among others. We are interested in having local participants, and if you know of train shows in your area that you would like to be a representative of O-Scale Central and show the flag, and more importantly, show the impressiveness of 2-Rail O-Scale models, please get in touch. The best place to go would be to our website and then find the Contact Us section and the listing that says president@oscalecentral.com. That's because Skylar doesn't have enough to do. So I thank you for trying to get plugged in and actually participate in the scale. And of course, in the short term, I want to thank you, our attendees, for blessing OSC and this program with the gift of your time. Before summer hit, we had been increasing our monthly attendance almost every month, and we think that's probably going to continue longer term. And we appreciate particularly the guys who come back month after month. All right. There are two presentations today, and I want to flag them. This is an Eat Your Spinach program because these are topics that everybody needs to be aware of and it's topics that nobody wants particularly to talk about. So this is going to be a program devoted to the things we don't want to think about and the things we don't want to do. And one of them is figuring out how to deal with insurance for your trains. And the other, and much longer, is going to be what we euphemistically call estate planning, although that's not really what it is. And I'm going to start with insurance because it is a difficult subject that nobody knows as much about as they probably need to know, and it's difficult to pull everything together and get organized in terms of the different parameters. And I want to pay a special thanks to the National Model Railroad Association because they have recognized how difficult some of these issues are, and they have provided a number of excellent resources. And I want to start with a program, a special interest report that was written up by a fellow named Marshall Abrams, who is now unfortunately deceased. And it is published under the title Insurance for Your Model Railroad. And it is in the Potomac, Potomac dash flyer, FLYER, at potomac-nmra.org. You go on the website and you find their special interest reports and click on them and they open right up. And I am not an insurance guy, and I don't want to pretend that I have put a lot of effort into this, but it is a very important and I think overlooked subject. And the report goes into some detail. I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes on it and then remind you several points in the program where I will be highlighting the email address. But the first question for all of us about insurance coverage starts with a determination whether your homeowner's insurance is sufficient to cover your model railroad equipment and your model railroad layout. And finding out what your present homeowner's policy provides is a great place to start. Then the next question that you need to deal with, and it's one we'll be dealing with over the rest of the program today, is what are the components of your model trains, your layouts, your books, your railroadiana, and every part of your hobby? What are they worth? And that's going to require making an inventory. It's going to require making some judgments about everything from engines, rolling stock, structures, scenery, bench work, wiring, electronic components, books, everything. And unless you know what that is worth, it's hard to figure out whether you are properly insured. You also need to go inside yourself and figure out what your subjective assessment of risk is. What would happen if you had a house fire or a flood and your layout was destroyed and your model trains damaged or destroyed? What would you do? Would you rebuild in its present state? Would you want to scrap it and start over? What would you do? How do you assess the risk to your trains? Are you in a floodplain? A lot of that going around recently. And if you are worried about house fires, the most probable cause is going to be electrical hazards. How good is the wiring in your house? And what level of risk are you willing to assume? There's going to be a deductible, there's going to be premiums, there may be difficulties in valuing and succeeding on a claim. So you need to make some assessments as to what you want to do and how much in terms of protecting yourself. And some of the questions that would be relevant to other parts, for example, of your household equipment, your computers, for example. How are you going to include the enormous amount of labor that would be necessary to respond to a loss in your estate? We can all think about how custom builders might come in and rebuild a layout, but that's almost too much to contemplate in terms of the costs that you would pay. I'll give you a shortcut, which we will talk about again in the estate planning part, and that is to have a handle on your layout, to have a handle on your equipment, to have some idea of how to put together an inventory, and therefore, and after that, a valuation. Photograph things, photograph everything. It will be a major help in determining your inventory, the things that you're going to forget about if you haven't already put them on a list, and establishing their worth. The story that Marshall Abrams put together has a series of stories, a series of what-ifs for people to walk through their situations and give ideas in yours. There are a lot of folks who think that NMRA has outlived its usefulness, or perhaps never had usefulness for the common modeler. But the work that they have done on these subjects alone is worth the support of the organization. So both from nmra.org and the Potomac division of NMRA, there are some really great resources. I urge you to use them. I also urge you, and we'll come back to this again, you know a pretty good amount about what your options are in terms of disposing of your equipment. But your family almost certainly does not. And we've all gone to train shows and seen some poor woebegone widow sitting there behind a table piled high with her husband's train collection. And there may be more pitiful sights, but I'm not sure what they are. They need to be plugged into this on the front end. And part of that will be to take these resources and organize them. So that is my comment on insurance. It is not a solution, but it is a place to go to get an approach, to use some checklists, and to get a set of resolutions on insurance loss and risk that you almost certainly do not have now. And I urge you to do it. If the answer is, I don't want insurance, that's fine. Just make sure that you have gone through the process and made an intelligent decision. All right. Let me stop at this point and inquire whether there are questions about the insurance. And I'm going to ask Greg Vigiano, who provides a lot of support for the program, and I really appreciate his work. I'd like for Greg to look at folks to see who has their hand up, either the electronic hand, which you can get to on your on the controls on the bottom of your Zoom screen, or simply have their physical hand up for people who have questions or comments. I cannot see, because of the way the screens are arrayed, I can't see everybody. But Greg, if you can take a quick look. If there are no questions, we'll move on. But if there are, I want to give people time.
Sure. Looks like there's no questions, David.
All right. I'd like to say that's because I gave such a thorough presentation, but it's really a place to go to get answers and to have almost a checklist to get through. Important subject, difficult to swim through, but necessary. We're going to shift now to the subject of estate planning. And I'm going to start by saying that estate planning, which is fairly widely used as the shortcut for what we're going to talk about today, what we're going to talk about is not really estate planning. That's sort of a term of art, and it requires legal professionals and accounting and financial planning professionals. And that's not what we're doing. We're not getting legal advice to you or making decisions for you that involve your will, your trust, however else you're dealing with it. So a better, if somewhat more awkward, title to the presentation today is Model Train Collection Disposition and Layout Disposal, Planning and Execution. We're going to talk about what to do with your layout and what to do about getting rid of your collection, or more likely, what your friends and family are going to do in that regard. So this is a difficult discussion. And a lot of people avoid it for that reason. Nobody likes to talk about their own demise. Nobody likes to talk about the fact that they're going to be leaving that messy basement and unsorted trains behind them. But the fact is that after you go, somebody is going to be responsible for dealing with your layout and dealing with your trains. And we all know, at least in the abstract, that you can't take it with you. And so you're gonna leave it behind, either with a plan or without a plan. And in the words of the immortal T. Boone Pickens, a fool with a plan is better than a genius with no plans. So we are going to try and set it up to help you figure out what you need by way of a plan. And one of the underlying concerns about all of this is the question of what happens to friends and family who become responsible for a collection. This is a responsibility that is going to be thrust on your family and friends in almost immediate follow-up from your death. And we can either make things easier for them or harder for them. And nobody wants to make it harder for a family that is already going through a grieving process. So let's look at how we can work around the issues that go with disposing of your layout and dispersing your collection. Come on. This works so well. Okay. Now, in all of this, I want to go back to NMRA because they have some really excellent resources for people who are in a position of needing to develop a plan for your trains. There is an excellent article by former NMRA President Charlie Getz that is found in nmra.org/education/estate planning. And there is also referenced there an online clinic, part of the NMRA X series of online clinics that they did by a guy named Richard Frazier. And they pop up immediately when you go to nmra.org. There is also a couple of articles, these special interest reports that the late Marshall Abrams authored. One of them is on estate planning for model railroaders. I told you the website before. You go to the Potomac flyer, Potomac NMRA, go to library, special interest reports. You can download them and you can print them. And they do not require that you be an NMRA member, although again, NMRA does some good stuff, including this, and I think you should consider joining them. But these are really useful, informative, well thought out, non-legalese ways to get your head around what needs to happen and to have your family and friends get their heads around what needs to happen. All right, estate planning is important. Your layouts, models, everything in your collection has value, and it has both financial value and it has emotional attachment, perhaps involving individual models because of their value, uniqueness, family background, whatever it is. And having a plan in place avoids potential disputes and uncertainty as to what your intentions are and how to make them happen. And it ensures that your collection goes where you want it and that the disposition satisfies the things that you want to happen, whether it is to maximize the value, to improve your survivor's economic position, or whether it goes to some nonprofit to further that organization's position. Whatever it is, you need to figure out where you want it to go and how to get it there. And finally, and I will emphasize this one more time, after your death or disability or however other you become separated from your hobby, that's going to come at a time that is very stressful for your family and friends. The last thing in the world you want to do is to have them sitting there after the visitation and say, what do we do with Dad's trains now? He never had a plan, or he never told us what he wanted to do. And you will be able to comfort yourself and greatly reduce the stress on your family if you provide for all of this ahead of time. Okay, step one, and this was mentioned in different contexts in each of the source materials I looked at. You need a place to put all of the materials that you're going to need to be using. And we'll call it a notebook. It can be a file folder, it can be whatever. It can be on your computer, although I have heard horror stories of people who put their entire estate planning on their computer, and then the computer crashes or the password gets lost or whatever. So by all means, if you're going to do it, an old-fashioned notebook may be the best place to start. And I put together some sample sections of that. The first one is these resource articles to which I referred. Your family and friends may not have direct access to those. Go to the website, download them, print them out, 3-hole punch them, and put them in this notebook. So whatever they did not hear or did not remember after you've had the conversation with them, they'll be able to go to it directly. Second, keep an inventory, particularly of the higher cost item, like engines and rolling stock, and keep it up to date. Several months ago on the program, Jim Cantor came on and gave us an explanation of how to prepare the Quattro Pro type lists, and I recommend that short article. I think it was in April, could have been in May. But get an inventory and keep it current. As I indicated before, one of the real important ways to aid this is to take photographs of your layout and of everything on it. Next section, keep a list of people who need to be contacted, whether they are people who may be resourceful or people who are going to get engine rolling stock, pieces of the layout, any other special bequests. And that's the next section. The list of people who need to be contacted are also those people who may have resources to help you, the people in your club, the people from the historical society you may want to benefit, etc. You need to develop a script, a set of instructions for what you want to happen with your layout, what you want to happen with the engines and rolling stock and scenery and structures and all the rest of it. And it needs to be in the form of, this is what I want to happen and this is how it needs to be carried out. And then finally, there needs to be an allocation of responsibilities. Somebody needs to be in charge. It is much easier to have the discussion when you are there. You can participate, you can coordinate the discussion, and so on. If you don't do it, everybody is going to be sitting there after the wake, looking around the room, trying to figure out what to do. And that's unfortunate on multiple levels. So this notebook, which contains the different organizational parts of it, is really important. All right, there are estate planning tools, and here we have a difference between the kind of planning that we're talking about and on and the kind of formal estate planning tools, a will, a trust, a power of attorney, and that is not the level on which we are having this discussion. Everybody's situation is different. Lots of times each jurisdiction, each state or locality may be different. Certainly the needs and the specifics for you and your layout and your family may all be different. So we are not really working at that level. You simply need to know that there is that level and that it needs to be addressed. There are special considerations that model railroaders have that even other hobbyists do not have. We have, most of us, something akin to a battleship in the basement. Down in the basement is this layout, and if it is fixed, that is screwed to the wall, you're going to have some very specific things that need to be happening. I will assure you that when your family is trying to figure out what to do with the house, they're going to engage a real estate agent. And the real estate agent is going to come into the house and do an inspection. And the real estate agent is going to go down to the basement and about 30 seconds later come up with a pained expression on his or her face and says the layout has got to go. It is far better to try and anticipate that than it is to wait until the real estate agent comes back up and tells you tells your survivors how much of an impediment the layout is going to be. Let me stop at this point and have another thought, and that is every modeler thinks, hopes, fantasizes that somebody will come along and take the layout. The ultimate fantasy is somebody's going to come along and buy the house and keep the layout. That has never in the history of civilization actually taken place. But it is something that you need to think about if your layout is of the kind that might be salvageable in some place, and work through and figure out that it's not going to work. But you will be satisfied if you put in some time and effort figuring it out. There are always going to be layouts where parts of it are salvageable. An engine servicing facility, a yard, a particularly good structure or piece of scenery. And it is good to make arrangements ahead of time to make sure that those pieces are taken out. Can layouts be taken down, disassembled, taken someplace else with some new model railroader and reinstalled? In theory, yes. And in fact, my basement, which is 18 feet wide and 90 feet long, has most of 3 different classic, well-known O-scale layouts. If I were doing it over, I'm not sure I would do it the same way or do it at all, because these movements are incredibly tedious and expensive, and there's a lot of work that goes into reconfiguring a layout. And in fact, most layouts are geared to their specific location, and it's hard to find another location exactly right to fit the new layout, the old layout into a new space. So your layout is likely going to be cut up. And in advance of doing that, write down, photograph, and leave a plan for the disassembly of the layout. Every layout is put together differently, particularly in these days and times. The layout may have lots of electronics, which are both useful and expensive. And it would be very helpful to the people who are going to have to go in and tear the layout out to have as much as you can tell them about how it was put together, about what components you need to pull before you simply tear it up. Is a tortoise switch machine worth saving? That's for your determination, but you ought to at least flag for people the fact that those are there. Sometimes you can get people to come in, like the members of a club, and take the layout down in return, perhaps, for getting the salvage out of it. The important thing is twofold. Number one, however special you think it is, the likelihood is that it will not be salvageable. And rather than have people who do not know anything about the layout go in and tear it up, try and have a plan even for that. There are other parts of the layouts that are special. As indicated, we have an increasing amount of digital assets, computer equipment, and so on. And those require special organization and information so people know what's there, and so you have a plan for disposing of them. There are obviously other parts, books, and videos, and Railroadiana, and so on that we need to talk about. Moving to the equipment, creating an inventory is extremely important because it will tell you what you need in terms of the volume, the number, the specifics, as well as the value of that. And that's something that each model railroader needs to do. As indicated, photographs can be tremendously helpful in this regard, both as a way to jog the preparation of the spreadsheet, as well as documenting things for purposes of insurance coverage or how things will be disposed of. I recommend storing the inventory list with your estate documents, and for starters, in the magic notebook that you will be working with. All right, value is very difficult. We all know of the guy who bought the first brass locomotive, and because he didn't want to tell his wife about it, had to leave it unpainted and hope that she did not figure out that he was buying more over the course of the years. And there are all kinds of discussions and assumptions on the part of family as to what this stuff is worth, either because they may have been led by their husband to believe that these have collector values and will appreciate, or because the spouse or family has watched how intensely the model railroaders treat this stuff. And the fact is, these are used toys, and they are likely not worth as much as you think they are, and in particular, they are probably not worth as much as you think they are in trying to dispose of them over a relatively limited period of time with a relatively limited market. There are places you can go to get professional appraisals. you may know as much or more than a professional appraiser will regarding your particular stuff. There are also going to be hobby-specific auction houses and consignment stores. This is not an area where you want to be going to a general purpose auctioneer. But thinking about how you attach a value and recognizing that attaching a value may be different depending on what you want to do with it. Is this going to be something where you're willing to cart the trains around or have your family or your club cart them around for 3 years, or is it something you need to get the value out of them and the articles done with in a very short period of time? And realistically, value fluctuates. It's going to be, in general, I think you'd probably say that O-scale 2-rail has declined in value over recent years. There may come a time when that turns around, but you need to not only get a valuation, figure out what kind of valuation you're giving, but also recognize that the valuation may need to be updated on a periodic basis. All right, so you all know in your own situations how what your options may be, but clearly there is a checkoff that you will want to be thinking about. And this applies both to the collection and it applies to the layout. Start with family and friends, people who share your interests, want your layout. I always wanted, one of the trains from Grandpa's layout because I want to put it on the mantelpiece, whatever it is. There is a hobby out there. There are other modelers that do the same thing that you do. And clearly they are going to become buyers if the rolling stock and other pieces of the collection are put on the market. Clubs, museums, historical societies are all potential recipients, assuming that you don't simply need to increase the family's financial stability by selling it for the maximum price you can get. There are estate sales, there are online marketplaces, there are train shows, there are numerous places that you can go. One of the things that's interesting about the resource articles that I told you about is that they go through the pluses and minuses for each different way to dispose of your layout. There is no perfect way, even if everybody was configured and wanted the same thing. And you're going to find difficulties and advantages whichever way you go. If you decide you want to donate the equipment, you need to recognize that that's going to become much more efficient and effective if you have a good inventory and if you have a good valuation. It is best, I think, that you pick the organization to which you want to donate ahead of time. So, if I'm a Great Northern modeler, I probably wouldn't pick the Nickel Plate Historical Society. So you want to figure out something that matches your interest, some organization that will make effective use of your donation, and something that will reflect your own interests. There are tax implications for charitable donations. Again, they are tied to inventory and valuation, but they also have tax implications that are going to need to be checked out through an accountant or an attorney. Now, here is a simple set of language for your will, and it is sort of a specimen rather than a particular recommendation. But you can say something in your will that is as simple as, I leave my model railroad collections, including da-da-da-da-da, to whoever's going to get it, or to be sold with the proceeds going to whoever the beneficiary is. That by itself doesn't help your heirs very much. That's where you got to go back to the notebook, and you've got to go back to the plan of attack that you're going to use to actually get through the distribution of the layout. Okay, this is where we talk about the conversation. And in this instance, the conversation is, I've got a basement full of trains, and at some point I'm not going to be around, and we need to come up with a plan. Obviously, the first part of that plan is, what do you want to happen with your trains? And hope that your family and friends will want to work with you to make that happen. So they need to understand what you want. And since life is short, you need to start that conversation soon. You need to do your own homework first, as we have talked about, and you need to be planning for that conversation. You need to tell them what is important to you. What do you want to happen with your trains? I think it's important to leave written instructions in plain language and not rely on an oral contract. People will remember things differently. You will have disagreements, and that will complicate their lives. Presumably you'll be gone, so you're not going to worry about it from that end, but you don't want to leave your family with a mess. So all of the stuff that we've been talking about, all of the different checkpoints that are in the resource articles, you need to leave written instructions. You need to make someone, preferably a single someone, responsible for executing your wishes. Now, you need to make this an interactive process. So you need to accept your family's inputs and recognize their concerns. You may want to donate all of your trains to the local club, but if the family is in need of money, you need to take that into account in terms of the disposition. And so it becomes an interactive process. All right, maintenance and storage. We talked about this before. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, any time on it, but your layout is going to be an item that needs to be dealt with firmly, finally, and probably quickly. So use the checklist, look at the resource articles. Now, you've had the conversation, you've got a plan, you've got the instructions, you've got your inventory, you've decided in broad strokes at least what you want to do in terms of disposing of your collection. And then it comes a time of the plan will need to be regularly updated. Life changes, the overall plan needs to change with it. people change. Somebody that was going to take your layout has their own life change, and they move to a small condo in Florida. They're not going to take your layout again. You're going to buy and sell and trade trains. We have all seen people roaming up and down the aisles of train shows in their wheelchairs, buying more trains. So we need to update the inventory annually. And since all of these things may change, it will be necessary to reassess what needs to happen with your trains, maybe because they're worth more or less, maybe because the needs of the family change, but it is a set of decisions that you need to constantly go back and revisit. Just reminder, if you change the password on your computer, make sure that you tell people what the new password is. All right, so what are the key takeaways? First, start planning now, not later. Second, document your collection, both in terms of the inventory and in terms of the value, in clear and accessible ways. And finally, you need to communicate your wishes and get on the same page with your heirs, your family, your friends, your fellow modelers, so that there is as little ambiguity as possible. All right, resources. I've told you already about the National Model Railroad Association. Their work in this area is just really good. It is a great place to start. The places that I told you to go on websites is great. Second, if you are a member of the NMRA and its structures, its various divisions, that's a good place to go. If you're a member of a model railroad club, that's a good place to go. Local hobby shops are probably less of a factor now simply because there are relatively fewer of them. There are model train professionals. There are brokers who will buy your model trains, sometimes buy the entire collection. And there are auction houses to which you can assign your train collections, and they will organize the collection and put it up for auction. Bear in mind that these brokers and auction houses, while they are very good, there's some very good professionals out there, but they are will buy at a discount from wholesale. And so while they make it easy, one-stop shopping, and while they make it quick to get rid of the collection, you will not maximize your returns by going to model train professionals. And finally, even though they are unlikely to be model railroaders themselves, you're going to need to coordinate your plan with your actual estate plan, with the professionals that are going to be looking at your situation and giving you advice and drawing up the documents that are part of the real world beyond the model railroad aspect of your life and family. There is a picture, and I couldn't get it to print the way I wanted it to, which shows a hearse and a large trailer behind it. And the caption on the program is, well, maybe you can take it with you. for O-scalers, the first thing that they did when they looked at the trailer is say, I got to get a bigger trailer. So there are always going to be some trade-offs to make, and there hopefully will be some kind of humor. I am a believer that the Lord will not take me if I have unbuilt train kits. And I'm pleased to tell you that with the present rate that I'm building kits, I am good to 155 years old. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get any doctors or ministers to endorse my unbuilt kit theory. So that is our presentation, and I am happy to open the discussion for any questions or comments that you all may have. And again, I'll ask Greg to put an eye out for anybody who has either an electronic hand or a real hand. And if there are no questions or comments, I want to thank everybody for your presentations, for your attention, I'm sorry, to my presentation.
Dave?
Yes. Hi, Andrew.
I have sold my South Park collection through an agent, and you'll get about 50 cents on a dollar at best.
Yes, I think that may be optimistic.
At best.
Yeah. Yes, and there's time and money and hassle trade-offs in every one of the alternatives that are here. I know a guy who specializes in O-scale, and he will come in, bring a truck. You will give him an inventory, or he will prepare one, and at the end of the day or 2 days or 3 days, however long it takes, all the trains will be gone. Not the layout, but the trains.
I have sold some of my HO stuff through eBay, and some of the stuff sold at outlandish prices up. Those were sold for about $50 and sold for 300. But other things have sold much less than they are. But you have one problem with eBay. If somebody doesn't like it, whatever thing, break the thing, send it back to you and said, I reject what it is, give you a bad name, and you have to fix it before you can try and sell it again.
Yep, there's no free lunch, and as I said, there are trade-offs anyway you go. Any other questions or comments? All right, I want to thank everybody for your time and attention. It has been our practice to adjourn the meeting at the conclusion of the formal presentations. That's where we are. And then to leave the meeting open, at least for a brief period of time, to deal with people's announcements, questions, crosstalk, whatever you've got. You don't have to confine it to the subject of our presentation today. I would note, by the way, before we get out of here, that the next presentation is going to be on August 17, again, a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern. And our guest of honor, I guess you can say that, will be Tom Marsh, who is the president of Overland Models. And Tom, of course, has been the producer of many of those big green boxes that populate our closets and our under layout area. And we will cover everything from where he grew up and how he got interested in railroads to how he founded Overland Models, how he established a working relationship with Agen, how the hobby business developed over the years, how he came to end the business. There is still an Overland Models run by his son, but they do not import anymore. But he has some very interesting insights with some of the things that are going on with China and with tariffs and with the future of the hobby. All right. So I invite you. You will get, if you got an invitation for this presentation, you will get an invitation for next month's presentation. We have a chat inquiry, and it's a very good one, and that is the question of what happened to our recorded programs, and the short answer on all of that is yes. Skylar responded and said, we are aware that this is a problem and we are working on it. We had some personnel turnover, we had some technical issues, and I believe that it is in the process of being remedied. We have all thought that before, but we are doing our best efforts in that regard to get these back programs up to speed. So we've had some programs, it varies from program to program, where we have several times more people who view the program on YouTube than we do who actually see the program live. And these are resources that can be kept current and used on backups as well. Is there any? There's a portion of lots of organizations meetings called Good and Welfare, and that's when we get down to a more general discussion. I'm happy to entertain any comments or questions in that regard. And if there are not, we will go ahead and adjourn the program. And I'm much happier when I don't have to do all the talking. So I appreciate you sticking with me on this. Anybody got anything? All right, going once, going twice. Thank you all. Appreciate your attention. And the meeting then will adjourn and we will be off the record. Thank you.